Hello everyone, today I wanted to present how to integrate custom elements inside a Markdown rendering in Angular, because believe it or not, this website is entirely created by a Markdown and you can see a lot of custom stuff happening. So let's get started. To begin with, we'll create a Markdown that we want to render. I will call it test. We'll have some header, so this is a header text before. We will add a custom element which can be rendered in Markdown if it's something classic, more well-known. For example, if you add something like this, it will be rendered as a tag. But if you want to render something more complex, like test MD with some data, this is some data, test MD, then nothing is rendered. And this is what we want to do. And I will add some text after to show that there is something happening. What we do is first to install NGX Markdown. This is the main package I found very used, well, just decreased, to render a Markdown in Angular. So let's add it. I'm running on Angular 20. It's installed. And now that it is installed, I will add two new providers. The first one is the classic HTTP provider. This is the one we'll use to actually get the text from our assets. The second one is the provide Markdown, which is the one that will allow to render Markdown as HTML in our Angular app. Then create a new component, which we will call basically MD renderer. And here it is. Here what we will do is first to get the HTTP client, and we'll have some content, which will be the content of our Markdown. Then we'll on init, ng on init, and we'll get this asset. So it's at asset test.md. I don't know if it's necessary to precise it, but the response type is text. And we will directly, this does HTTP. I wondered why I did not have the auto-completion. HTTP, and we'll subscribe and get the text and directly save it as our content. Obviously, if you know that you can have some error and you want to handle it, you will have to do the correct thing in your subscribe. But here it's just a really minimal example. So okay, perfect. We have our text. How do we render it? Well, it's extremely simple. We'll just have a Markdown. So first, I do it like this. We need to import the Markdown component from NGX Markdown, and then we'll render it with some data, content, and let's see, we need something like this. Let's go to the app. We remove everything and we will render our MD app renderer like this. It has been automatically added here, but it comes from, you have to import it in the app. And now let's run our app. And you can see that it is here. There is your text before, your text after, but there is nothing in the middle. Okay, so in the next step, you might want to render some headers. This is directly available in Markdown as Frontmatter. You simply have to put 3 here and here, and then it will be considered as a front matter used in lab, written in YAML. Let's add it to our Markdown. So I will go to my Markdown and add this YAML header, this front matter. We'll add an author, so the author will be me, of course, and the date will be today, of course. Here it is. We can see that if we go to our page, it will render some kind of separation, and then it will render it like this. We don't want it. We want to have control over how it is rendered. And for this, we will use front matter for, I think it's for JavaScript in general, but let's say it's for Angular. To do this, we'll add it. So we add front matter. Of course, I cannot write it. So here it's a version 4.02 and it is installed. Now that it is installed, let's add it in the renderer. So first thing is that we want to import it, front matter from front matter. This is all we need. And then we'll convert this text into a front matter file. I don't know how to say it. So to do this, we create, let's call it a file. We have front matter, we take the text from it. This is it. And now if we only want the body of our file, we'll write body here. We serve again our server, and we can see that we don't have the header anymore. Well, the attributes anymore, which is good, but now how do we render it? Well, to do this, we'll get some metadata, let's call it metadata, which will be the attributes. There is one thing, is that we might want to convert it to an interface because it's much more easy to use. I like to create some classes, so let's create some metadata classes. And this metadata will have our two properties, which were author, which was a string, and date, which also was a string. So now we will say that we have some protected content, which is metadata. It's undefined by default and it's of class metadata, of type metadata, and then we'll just cast it to some metadata. Obviously, this is where you would want to handle some error, if you have some custom page, you will go back to the front page in case this metadata is not properly converted or so on. But this is your job. And then you have the metadata here. Let's render it. I will copy paste some code to make it faster, but basically some code that say if I have my author, I will write it. If I have my date, I will write it. And now going back here, we see that it is rendered. So now we can render the body of the text, the body of the Markdown, the header, the properties of our Markdown, but the only thing left to do is to render these custom elements. Okay, so let's get started. First, we'll want to create a component that will be able to inject. So let's do ngc components test md. We'll just name it like this. And we can see it here. We don't care about the selector. We'll just care about the input. So the input, it's called data and it's a string. This input has to be a string because we'll inject the component using custom elements from Angular. So a custom element, I can put the link into the description, is basically an external, an isolated component that is injected in your Angular app. and it does not use the framework input-output, but it uses the standard web component ones, which means that you have to pass strings here. And if you want to pass something else, you will have to serialize it first. But here we don't care, we have a string, so let's just say it's a string. We'll render this string. So let's just render it. I will keep the P here and be like, yeah, render my data. And to make sure that it's a bit more clear that it's not the same component, I will add some color to the text. I put it in red. And of course, nothing happened because we have not defined anything. First thing we'll do is to add the ng-add Angular elements. This is the package that will allow to create this custom elements. Then let's do some cleaning here. I will go to my app config. We need a provider here to provide for this element, and we'll use a function for it, but let's wrap it inside a service to have more reusable code. Custom elements. Let's remove the S. It's here, and what we'll have is that we need the injector. The injector coming from the core. Injector is equal to injector like this. And then we'll have a method that sets up all our custom elements. So I don't know how you want to optimize it, but that's not the problem. Here it's a test md element, and we have the method create custom element from Angular elements that takes our class test md and an injector which we have already gotten before. It's this one, and it's not a list, it's an object. Okay, and then for this I will get the global custom elements and define our selector, which was test md, and it will point to this instance maybe of test md element. At least it's a template. So we have, this is the code we need to create our custom elements. Now we have to tell the application to register this custom element, and to do so we'll do it in the app config. So we go here and we add a new provider, which is the provide app initializer, which takes a method and will just return custom element. Don't want the register, I want to take the service and do it like this. So now we have a more generic way of setting all our custom elements if you need multiple ones. So perfect, now it works. Of course, there is something else to do, because as you can see, you still cannot see the text between. But the last thing to do is actually more, well, it depends on you. You see that you have this warning, which is careful sanitizing HTML, strip some content. Because this one here is not liked by our Angular, by our provide Markdown, because you could put some dangerous stuff in it. One way to do it, still, because you want it in our case, is to bypass it by setting the provide Markdown that we don't want sanitization. So we put a security context of none. And now if we go here, we have our custom elements, and I think we can see it in the DOM as well. It will make sense. You see here in Markdown, text before test md, and this is rendered by our custom elements. So this is it for this video. I talked about this project at the beginning. It will be discontinued. It takes too much time for me to do. But if you scroll on it and you see something that you want me to talk about how I made it, well, I will gladly do a video for this, so please don't hesitate. Also, this project will be on my GitHub, so you can just find it directly in the description if you need it. And in the meantime, if this video helped you, I think I will make some more in the future, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching.